fascinating. I mean, I've been interested in the Dean campaign from the very beginning. To me, that was just like a fascinating political story. Like, how did this guy get back? And he got back because he had built a network among sort of rank and file political activists that felt left out of the traditional political process. And some of those people happened to be members of the Democratic National Committee, which you'd think would be the ultimate insider group, but turned out they kind of wanted to fight the establishment too. So Dean comes back and does this thing, this 50-state strategy, which is he's trying to rebuild local Democratic parties across the country. And so this is all just a basis of the fact that when Obama comes along, I saw a lot of parallels between how the Obama people were building on what Dean was trying to do at the same point that I felt like a lot of the Clinton people were kind of ignoring it. I think if you look at the 2008 presidential primary, it's very much become sort of a battle of old and new politics. And Obama figures out how to fuse the old with the new, where Clinton just sort of, ignores the new, I think, to her own peril, it turns out. And same with sort of John McCain. And then, so that was really the story I wanted to tell, and that's what I wrote in my proposal after the election. Of course, now things have become significantly more complicated. I mean, the question that I was looking at after the election was what's going to become of this movement, and Marshall and I will talk about this. I didn't foresee, I don't think anyone foresaw the rise of the Tea Party, and the political situation now is very much in flux. But in the book, I tried to offer the perspective of these organizers and these activists. And one of the key people that I talk about in the book is Marshall. And I imagine a fair number of you are familiar with Marshall. Do you want to offer a quick introduction, or should I just explain what you do?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, Marshall is just one of these really fascinating characters, and doing
That's good.
Good start.
So far, so good.
Excellent.
Marshall teaches at Harvard, but he's been doing community organizing for 40 years, and worked on a lot of different campaigns. And I think, as I say in the book, you've been present at so many defining moments in the history of the Democratic Party and in American politics.
Like
Rabbi's son.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, like Forrest Gump. So I mean, for those of you that don't know, Marshall grew up a rabbi's son in Bakersfield, California. You can correct me if I get anything
No, you're doing
wrong.
great.
Came over to Harvard, got really involved in the civil rights movement with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which was basically the campus arm of the civil rights movement, right, by and large. Went down to Mississippi, where there was a lot of really intense struggles. You were in Macomb, Mississippi, right? What do you say? There was 21 bombings in 1964 when you were down there. So, I mean, this incredible experience in the civil rights movement organizing. Goes back home to Bakersfield after that. Cesar Chavez is on strike at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Goes and works as a SNCC representative with the farm workers for how long?
16 years.
16 years. Organizes for Bobby Kennedy in 1968, figures out a way to turn out Hispanic voters in East LA for Kennedy. So all these really interesting moments. It goes in protest in 1964, right? Goes in protest.
Democratic Convention.
At Democratic Convention against the Dixiecrats, who are from Mississippi, who are nominating Lyndon Johnson. And so I was really, this fascinating biography, right? And then you're in California for sort of 20 years, right, doing politics.
Yeah.
Then you get kind of burnt out on it.
Yeah.
Right? Come back to Harvard, resume your studies, start teaching, and then you've been doing that, and then you got inspired to get more involved in the Dean campaign, which we'll talk about. And then you decide to get more involved with the Obama campaign, and I really sort of viewed you as the organizing theorist, if there was one, behind the Obama movement. And so I think, Marshall was really fun to write about him, and I think we're especially a good time to talk to him about some of what's going on. And